Hello everyone. Welcome to Aroma Chemistry. I am Dr. Zosimus Divya Lobo. Shall we learn about ultraviolet and visible spectroscopy? Ultraviolet and visible spectroscopy deals with the recording of the absorption of radiations in the ultraviolet and visible regions of the electromagnetic spectrum. The ultraviolet region extends from 10 to 400 nanometer. It is subdivided into the near ultraviolet region is 200 to 400 nanometer and the far vacuum ultraviolet region is 100 to 200 nanometer. The visible region extends from 400 to 800 nanometer. The absorption of electromagnetic radiations in the ultraviolet and visible regions induces the excitation of an electron from a lower to higher molecular orbital. Since UV and visible spectroscopy involves electronic transition, it is often called electronic spectroscopy. Absorption loss. It deals with Bee's law and Lambert's law. Bee's law states that the fraction of the incident light absorbed is proportional to the number of the absorbing molecules in the light path underwell increases with increasing concentration or a sample thickness. Lambert's law, it states that the fraction of the monochromatic light absorbed by a homogeneous medium is independent of the intensity of the incident light and each successive unit layers absorbs an equal fraction of light incident on it. Bees-Lambert law gives the formula of log base 10 I divided by I naught equal to epsilon Cl, that's equal to A, where I naught is the intensity of the incident light, I is the intensity of the emergent light, epsilon is the molar absorptivity, and C is the concentration, and L is the path length, then A is the entire absorbance. Let's see the types of electronic transitions. According to the molecular orbital theory, a molecule is excited by the absorption of energy. Its electrons are promoted from a bonding to a antibonding orbital. The antibonding orbital, which is associated with the excitation of sigma electron, is sigma star antibonding orbital. So, sigma to sigma star transitions take place when electron is promoted to antibonding orbital. When a non-bonding electrons get promoted to an antibonding sigma orbital, the transition is N to sigma star transitions. Similarly, pi to pi star transition represents the promotion of pi electron to an antibonding pi star orbital. When non-bonding electron is promoted to antibonding pi orbital, it represents N to pi star transitions. The energy required for various transitions are in the following order: sigma to sigma star, N to sigma star, pi to pi star, N to pi star. Let us see how the compounds undergo electronic transitions separately. The first is a sigma to sigma star transition. It is a high energy process since bonds are in generally very strong. The organic compounds in which all the valence shell electrons are involved in the formation of a sigma bonds do not show absorption in the normal UV region. 180 to 400 nanometer. For saturated hydrocarbons like methane, ethane, propane, absorption occurs near 150 nanometer. The usual spectroscopic techniques cannot be used below 200 nanometer. Thus, the region below 200 nanometer is commonly called UV region. The excitation of a sigma bond electron to a sigma star level occurs with the net retention of electronic spin. It is called excitation state, which may in turns gets converted to excited triplet states. This region is less informative. N to sigma star transition. This type of transition take place in saturated compounds containing one heteroatom which unshared a pair of electrons. Some compounds undergo this type of transitions are saturated halides, alcohols, ethers, aldehydes, ketones, etc. Such transition require comparatively less energy than that sigma to sigma star transition. Pi to pi star transition. This type of transition occurs in the unsaturated centers of the molecular compounds containing a double or triple bond and also in aromatic. The excitation of pi electron requires smaller energy and hence transition of the type occurs at longer wavelength. A pi electron of a double bond is excited to pi star orbital. For example, alkenes, alkynes, carbonyl compound, cyanides, azo compounds, etc. N to pi star transition. This type of transition, an electron of unshared electron pair on heteroatom gets excited to pi star antibonding orbital. This type of transition requires least amount of energy out of all the transitions discussed above and hence occurs at a longer wavelength. Lower energy N to pi star, higher energy pi to pi star occurring around 290 nanometer and 180 nanometer lower wavelength is usually intense. In carbonyl compounds, a high energy N to sigma star transitions also occurs and is quite intense. In carbonyl compounds, the shifts in the absorption depends upon the polarity of the solvent. Let us see the absorption and intensity shifts. It is classified as bathochromic shift, hypsochromic shift, hyperchromic shift, hypochromic shift. Bathochromic shift. It is an effective virtue with the absorption maximum is shifted towards longer wavelength due to the presence of oxochrome or by the change of solvent. Such absorption shift towards longer wavelength is called redshift. Hypsochromic shift. It is an effect by virtue of which the absorption maximum is shifted towards a lower wavelength. The absorption shifted towards shorter wavelength is called blue shift. Hyperchromic shift. When the absorption intensity of the compound is increased is known as hyperchromic shift. The shift is due to the change in the structure of the molecule and the medium. Hypochromic shift. When the absorption intensity of the compound is decreased. Next, we learn about the instrumentation. The desired parameter in spectroscopy is observance, but it cannot be directly measured. Thus, UV visible spectrometer compares the intensity of the transmitted radiations with that of the incident UV visible radiation. Most UV visible spectrometers are double beam instruments and consist of the radiation source, monochromator, detector, amplifier and recorder. Radiation source. Hydrogen discharge lamp is the most commonly used source of radiation in the UV region. A deuterium lamp is used its place when more intense is desired. A tungsten lamp is used when the absorption in the visible region is to be determined. Monochromator. It disperses the radiations obtained from the source into the separate wavelength. The most widely used dispersing element is a prism or grating made up of quartz because quartz is transparent throughout the UV region. Glass strongly absorbs UV radiation, hence it cannot be used but satisfactorily used in the region. Detectors. These have the photocells or photomultiplier tubes which generates voltage proportional to the radiation energy that strikes them. Amplifier. The spectrometer has balancing electronic amplifier which subtracts the absorption of the solvent from that of the solution electronically. Recorder. It automatically records the spectrum as a plot of wavelength of absorbed radiation against the absorbance A or molecular absorptivity epsilon. Sample handling. UV visible spectra are usually recorded either in a very dilute solutions or in the vapor phase. Quartz cells of 1 cm square are commonly used for recording the spectra. The sample is dissolved in some suitable solvent which does not itself absorbs radiation in the region under investigation. Commonly used solvents are cyclohexane, 1,4-dioxane, water and ethanol. The chosen solvent should be inert to the sample. Solvent effect. The choice of the solvent to be used in the UV spectroscopy is quite important criterion for the good solvent. Solvent should not absorb UV radiations in the same range as the substance whose spectrum is determined. Usually, solvents that do not contain conjugated systems are most suitable for this purpose. Although they vary as to the shorter wavelength at which they remain transparent to the UV radiation. Water, ethanol, hexane are the most commonly used, each transparent in the regions of UV spectrum. Solvent effects on the fine structure of an absorption band. The effect of polar and non-polar solvents on the absorption band. A non-polar solvent does not hydrogen bond with the solute and the spectrum of the solute closely approximate the spectrum that would be produced in the gaseous state where fine structure is often observed. In a polar solvent, the hydrogen bonding forms a solute solvent complex and the fine structure may dispersed. Solvent ability to influence the wavelength of UV light that will be absorbed via stabilization of either ground state or excited state. Polar solvents do not form hydrogen bonds as readily with the excited states of polar molecules. As with the ground states and these polar solvents increases the energies of electronic transitions in the molecule. Polar solvents shift transitions of N to pi star type to shorter wavelength. In other hand, the excited states may form a stronger hydrogen bonds than the corresponding ground states. In such a case, a polar solvent serves absorption to longer wavelength since the energy of the electronic transition is decreased. Polar solvents shift transitions of pi to pi star type of longer wavelength. Next, Woodward-Fisher rule for calculating lambda max value. First, we see the homoannular dienes. The homoannular diene conjugated double bonds are present in the same ring and having the cissoid configuration. Heteroannular diene. These dienes conjugated double bonds are in transoid configuration in the same ring that have the transoid configuration. Homoannular having the cissoid configuration, heteroannular having the transoid configuration. Exocyclic conjugated double bond. Carbon-carbon double bond projecting outside the ring. Note that some double bonds may be exocyclic to one ring while endocyclic to the other. And sometimes the same double bond may be exocyclic to two rings simultaneously. This is exocyclic, and here exocyclic of ring A, exocyclic to ring B, and these are. Next, see the alkyl substituent and the ring residue. How we can determine this is a alkyl substituent or a ring residue? Only the alkyl substituent and the ring residue attached to the carbon atoms containing the conjugated system of the compound and taken into the account. In compounds having both homoannular and heteroannular diene system, the calculations are based on the longer wavelength, that is homoannular diene system. Here, these are the homoannular diene system and attached to the one alkyl substituent here and second alkyl substituent here. First, we consider as a homoannular or heteroannular dienes. These are the homoannular diene, and then diene is connected with the two alkyls ring residue. Here is a ring residue, and these are the homoannular dienes are heteroannular diene. Here is a transoid configuration, so having heteroannular diene and ring residue, that is 3 ring residue. Here 1, 2 and 3. Then 3 ring residues and 1 alkyl substituents are present here. This is basically a homoannular diene, and here is a 1 alkyl substituent, 1, 2, 3. 3 ring residues. Here, this is a heteroannular diene, or it may be considered as a homoannular diene, but we have considered as a homoannular diene and having the one alkyl substituent here and other alkyl substituents here. So, 2 alkyl substituents and 1, 2, 3 ring residues. Hope you have understood the topic as discussed. Thank you for your attention.